So, heartfelt welcome to you all. It's Stefan Hammer here, as advertised. You know, these days in the DIY age, you have to profile yourself more sometimes than you wish as originally an introvert. But here am I. It's provisionally called a listening party, but as you can see, I'm here on my own, and I would like to create the party with you through listening to a few of the tracks, you know, with you being the first ones to hear the new music I have to offer. And with that, I can give you kind of a program guide for the rest of this event. It's like my old father used to say, praatje plaatje in Dutch, meaning a little talk, then a little music, then a little talk, then a little music, and that happens 3 times in a row. When that has happened and we are there with the grand finale, we'll be having consumed roughly, I guess, 20 minutes of your valuable time. It is, I think, a privilege to do it this way. I mean, think of it, 20 years ago, I have to send it via airmail to you. Hi, I've got some new music to make. Would you care to listen to it? And then maybe after a month you get a reply, hopefully a positive one. So I'm grateful. I mean, we all do the bashing of social media. It's even now, you know, AKA named doom scrolling. But I hope you don't consider this too doomy, because it's meant as a positive event with positive music, yet with reflection. And I guess what I should do now is start telling you about the new album. So welcome everyone who's just tuned in. We have waited for you, so now we'll start with me explaining to you briefly that the album is called, oddly enough, Asymmetrical Dot. I'd say, if I hear that title for the first time, what's that about? It's a little far-fetched, it sounds complicated, but I can assure you it's not. It's something where I suddenly realized last year, when I made this music, was a very intense year, more than other years. And that had to do with direct relatives of mine. And I can tell you that for me, that resulted in my most personal music I think I've ever made. So the trigger was, first of all, joy. Last year, my oldest daughter gave birth to my first grandson. That's right. Grandpa's talking now in this comfortable sitting chair. But I was overjoyed with the whole idea. His name is Benja. And I thought it was great, such a name. And I asked my daughter, why is he named that? And there came a very, very modern response of my daughter, Julia, the mother of the newborn. And she said, well, my partner and I, we used a kind of comparable to, you know, swiping in a dating app. They did that with names, and they had a match with the name Benja, and that's how the boy got his name. So I was inspired by the whole thing, and what I wanted to do is to see if I could score, you know, my old profession, score a conceptual idea. And so I translated the whole period of pregnancy of my daughter in a musical composition where the growth process inside the womb I tried to illustrate in music in the first half of the composition. So that's 9 months, but in this case it's 9 bars, literally translated into music. Then there's the moment of birth, and that's with a huge bell announcing the birth, and the boy metaphorically comes to earth in my music, and he is greeted by voices, choirs even, from all over the world, ethnical, very diverse, and all singing together in a harmonical welcome to the newcomer on the planet. And the track closes with the solo voice symbolizing the mother of the new child, my daughter Julia, having fulfilled her mission, her task. And I played it to both. Benja got a little distracted during those 2 or 3 minutes, but I think he'll enjoy it a little now, and maybe in 10 years' time a little more, and in 40 years hopefully even more. That's what I meant to do with the whole piece, to give him his own little non-materialistic present. So I propose that we'll play that very track I just talked about. It's called Benja's Birth, and let's have a listen to it.
Wonderful. What is the song Emboina about, Stefan?
Now, that was the other event taking place last year for me on the personal level. My old mother, she passed away. She was aged 95, but most of my life I lived with her in my youth. So it was, as everyone can imagine, and everyone once in his life will, or her life will experience. But her passing away was a heavy one for me, and I thought to do what I can do better than in these very words, to compose, to express my grief about her passing. But the thing that struck me most whilst thinking back on the event during the composing of it later, summer last year, was that I was so grateful that the newborn, which I just told you about, the grandson called Benja, thank God he just got acquainted with his great grandmother, I think she should be called, and the two of them met for 1 hour in their entire lives. They will never meet again. And I have pictures of that taken, and I thought that was the essence of the intensity of my life last year, where those two came together, grief and joy, which met in 60 minutes. So the grief composition I wanted to do for my mother is trying to, how should I put this? She was a special one. She was a ballet teacher. Most of my musical knowledge I got from her dancing classes and teachings. That's how at an early age. So also she appealed to the notion of me that I actually have a bicultural identity because my mother is from Indonesia. Her father was working for the National Post in Indonesia in the 1920s, and he had to move from island to island for his job. So they had 4 children, am I right? Yeah, 5, sorry, family. And each of these children is born on a different island. And my mother was born on an island called Amboina, or Ambon, as it's also known. It's a small island in the Indonesian Republic. She was born there before she went off to Holland in the early 1930s. And at that time that was still not with an airplane, but with a boat. And the journey lasted for 37 days, coming from Indonesia to Holland, where eventually she met my father. The composition is where I felt I should do again, like the birth song, now the passing away song, so to speak, has the same structure. There's the moment towards the passing, which I witnessed, and then the actual passing, because she was a spiritual person, I thought, what is she going to experience after the physical departure? And that I tried to illustrate in music with a complex outro where, what will there be? Heaven? Will there be the cosmos? We don't know. But I try to imagine it, and that's what I better could express in music than I can do now in words. So I propose that we'll have a listen to Amboina, the track I'd like to dedicate to my mother.
Truly beautiful, Stefan. What is the wonderful voice you worked with on The Space Between?
Yeah, that's an entire different track called The Space Between, and I had the good fortune and pleasure to work with wonderful singers from all over the world for this album. One of them being actually someone quite well known to most of us. Her name is Beth Hirsch, and I loved her voice ever since the mid-90s, when we could all hear her in the song she co-wrote and vocalized for the French group called Air. And the song was called All I Need. You might have heard of it. But ever since that moment, her voice stuck in my memory, stuck in my mind. It's a wonderful timbre. It's hard to explain, but it's so agreeable. It's so aesthetical that I thought someday maybe I could invite her for a collaboration on this new album, Asymmetrical Dot. And so it happened, and we co-wrote the song you're about to hear. After we went back and forth, as you do today, you know, via WeTransfer or email or whatever, you can exchange your files quite easily. She's now based in Portugal, and so we had a couple of video meetings, I'd say COVID style. That's where we learned to do that kind of thing long distance. And I thought she made a great contribution to the track called The Space Between. And the actual title stands for, The Space Between is what I intend to say with that is that with two identities, my Indonesian mother, my European father, I, as their child, have different moods. It might be that on a Monday I feel a bit more having the mindset and even the system of emotions of an Asian person. But on the next day, totally the opposite. And the point is, where the title of the album comes from, The Space Between Us, is that you're never in the middle of two cultures or identities. You're either opting a bit more, feeling a bit more at ease with the one identity, one moment, and the other, you feel the other one is more dominant in your behavior and your way of thinking. So that was the reasoning, without being wanting to be over pretentious or, you know, elitist. I thought it was just a great artistic challenge to make music with that subject. So that's the one we're going to hear next. Let me find it. Here we go. So this is featuring the wonderful singer Beth Hirsch.
That's lovely. So who else did you work with on the album?
Well, we've just heard Beth Hurst, and next to her, I had the great experience of listening one day to a female singer from Armenia, and I was struck by her voice. It's a very special voice called, in musical terms, a counter alto, meaning, or the contra alto, I should say, which means she can sing really low and really high, so she has a huge vocal range, and what I feel is one of the best tremolos or vibratos in her voice worldwide. So that is something I was hugely impressed by, but my reasoning is always, I can enjoy that, but why not work with such a wonderful voice? Why not at least try? Which is what I did, and I got in touch with her, and we shared a lot of opinions and beliefs which were identical in a way about how music should try to be more adventurous and take more risks and not do run-of-the-mill, create more of the same type of thing. So we agreed on that, and she contributed quite wonderfully on a couple of tracks on the album. And the next one was someone from America, from the USA, an experimental vocal artiste rather than a singer, because I saw her on YouTube doing her own thing, where she puts her voice through all kinds of guitar effects. So think Jimi Hendrix, guitar with effects, but then with a human voice. And her name's Courtney Swain, and she did quite a few takes for the new Asymmetrical Dot album too. And lastly, of the vocalists, I got mesmerized about a Latin female vocalist who's now based in Miami, USA. And her name is Maria Alejandra Quintanilla. She is a huge improviser, but very shy. That means if you look her up on the internet, she doesn't care about a thing. She doesn't need glamour, she doesn't need applause even. What she does appreciate is collegial praise, which is what I gave her loads of. And not only for that, but we needed very little words to agree upon a collaboration. And so we did. And that completes the lineup of the vocalists. But I also have to mention a couple of the instrumental players. A wonderful violin player, you've just heard him. His name is Everton Nelson. He used to be in the live touring band of the late Ruichi Sakamoto, the composer. And he recommended a cello player from London called Ian Burge, who gave me, as mind you, as the actual maker of the music you're hearing today, he gave me goosebumps, because I thought his playing was so expressive, which is a rarity these days. You know, it's usually sort of polished, but his sincere contribution, I highly appreciate it. Then we have from Holland two guys. One of them is actually an American called Michael Moore, not the documentary maker, but another Michael Moore, who lives in Amsterdam, and he's a character, and he plays the clarinet, and he was happy to join in as well, as did Jan Koper, who is a modest but very Stengetzi type of saxophone player from Holland. And there is Rick Moll, a trumpet player. and the rest of the instruments I actually play myself. The mixing engineer I approached to get all this stuff together, it's complex because you have a lot of voices, you have the usage of different idioms, musical idioms or genres. Partially it's contemporary classical, I suppose, partially third stream jazz, and partially abstract electronics in there, and topped off with wordless vocals, because I felt lyrics are only distracting the theme I'm trying to push. So in the old days there was wordless singing in film music or in classical or in pop music, and that's where you use voices more as actual musical instruments next to trumpet, violin, cello, etc. So that was the reasoning behind that, and I thought that there's very little people who sort of make sense of all these different genres mixed together in one. And suddenly I realized a person who could do that is the one person who, I'm happy to say, said, yes, I'm happy to join you, Stefan, on your new album. And his name is Fernando Aponte. And Fernando was the associate producer for the late Ryuichi Sakamoto. They made many an album together, and as you might know, within the Sakamoto back catalogue, you'll also hear a lot of genre-defying material, and I just knew he could make sense out of that on the technical level. So he's the mixing producer of this new album, and I think I'd also like to say a short thank you to my team, being especially Maarten Boesie and Daphne van Rossum. And I think we should also invite you, if you have any questions or want more information, send me a DM on office@stephenemmer.com or via the socials where we are now, Insta, Facebook or anywhere else.
And there's also more good news.
That's right, thank you. The thing is, the album was released today, except 2 days ago I got notified that this new album, the brand new album, has already won a Golden Award from Poland, would you believe? Phoenix Award, and I'm very, very honored with that. It's good news. You know, in those independent days, you're happy with any signal, and this is not a very small one, I have to say. So tomorrow I'll post my very first review by probably the best Dutch music magazine there is at the moment, called Written in Music. It's in English translated, and I think it's very reassuring that that became the very first one for the new album. Actually a 5-star review. You can imagine later on this evening I'll do a little celebration with my loved ones for that very reason.
Thank you. That's lovely, and to hear about the music more. So yeah, let's play a little bit.
Well, I hope I didn't make that much of detours in my talking, but we'll play out with another track of the album whilst I say goodbye to you. And I'd like to thank you for your participation, of course. It was a pleasure for me. So read the review tomorrow on my socials, and I'd like you to know that there's also a physical CD available, which you can order on Bandcamp, my Bandcamp profile. You can look it up there and you can order it. In fact, there are quite a few sold already today in a limited edition. Next, and that's about the last thing I think I should put forward to you. Coming Monday, I will post on my socials a link to my new Substack profile, where there's a long read available for getting more information on the making of the new asymmetrical album. So plenty of things to say still, but I think we should call it a day. You've worked hard this week. We'll be in touch, okay? We'll see each other, or we'll speak, but feel free to connect. I love that. Give me a bit of feedback on what you've heard on the album. So thanks for now, and